You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 52. I feel like you have the honour of listening to me again. I do have a guest on for next week, so don't worry, but it's been really cool to just chat with you, really, to be honest. And actually a few people did say they do like my solo episodes, so I hope that you're not too annoyed with listening to my voice. Well, I mean, obviously you listen to the podcast, so there we are. I've actually been told quite a few times I've got a calming voice, so I don't know if people are saying that to be nice or if they genuinely mean it. But side note, I wanted to talk today about divine feminine energy. And I feel like for me, that's been a massive journey for myself on finding and cultivating that for myself. And I didn't really know what it meant necessarily before embarking on my healing journey. So I just thought I'd give a little bit more detail on it, because you hear me talk a lot about masculine and feminine energy, and I talk often about my journey into, from toxic masculinity into the feminine energy. And I feel like I've only now got to a space where I've really mastered and understood what that looks like. And every day I'm deepening my understanding, but more deepening into the feminine energy as well. And this is the thing, we need to have both. We can't exist just one, right? So I want to just, kind of dive into that a little bit more with you, because as a woman, this is something, and by the way, cisgendered woman identify as being female. So this is why this is even more important, because some people are, identify as men but have more feminine energy, and that's all beautiful and acceptable. But I want to talk more about it from my perspective, because I know that, there's a few women that I know in my life that equally have been in the same position as me, as in be more in their masculine energy. So I often speak a lot about how the masculine energy is the doing and the feminine energy is the being. And I used a really good example last week, if you remember, about how I said about, the masculine energy would be dams, keeping your water in place. And then the feminine energy is obviously the water, right? And that's a great way to look at it, because even if we look at astrology, the archetype of water, for example, Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. I think I was trying to say Cancer and mother at the same time. Yeah, Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. And like Capricorn is like the father of the zodiac. So it's really interesting, because Capricorn is earth and Cancer is water. And I found out that my north node is in Capricorn and my south node's in Cancer. So for me, this is just a small brief astrology side note, that my south node is like the past, like what I need to grow through, and that's like being a people pleaser, putting other people's needs before my own. And the the Capricorn element is me stepping into my authority and being the leader that I came here to be. And obviously so much Leo in my chart, that's what I was destined to do. So everything I'm doing now is in alignment with my astrology, but also my soul's calling, which is a really beautiful way to look at just anything in your life, right? But obviously that was a side note of how the feminine energy is there. And actually I feel like I've probably run a bit too far with the masculine energy, as we've said. I also have a lot of planets in topical astrology in Capricorn, so I feel like my life as a whole has always been trying to find the balance between the feminine and the masculine, as I've always spoken about. So I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper from a different perspective. So I don't know what religion you follow, if you do follow a religion, but you would have heard of deities or goddesses in lots of different cultures. So, for example, in Greek mythology, you have like Aphrodite, Persephone, Hera, they're all like the Greek goddesses. You also, in astrology, you think about the planet Venus, that's feminine. Um, and then like Mars is the masculine, right? And then also in, Hinduism, there's Kali, she's goddess of death and rebirth. And then you've got Ocean, which is from African history and ancestral roots there. There's so many more deities, and also you have masculine ones. But I want to kind of connect with that a little bit deeper and look at female archetypes, because it's a really nice way of understanding the feminine energy and the layers to us as female. I talk a lot about how we have like the crone and the maiden, which is obviously different stages, but this is going to break it down in a different way. And it's just a new way of looking at it, because I feel like as we have to have masculine energy as well as feminine energy in order to be able to do things. So, for example, the feminine energy is the creation, creating, it's being, and the masculine energy is the doing. So, for example, if you're going to create something or make a business, you need an element of feminine energy to create that thing. And in business, there's a stage called the incubation phase when you're trying to create something new. That's a feminine space. You sit on your idea, you allow more to flow through you and to you. And yeah, you get clearer, more ideas come up in that time, in that space. And that's why I even think that for me, and I feel like there's a research on this as well, that when I'm in a body of water, whether it's a shower, a bath, or in the sea or whatever, I get really creative ideas come through there, because that's all quite feminine. So yeah, it's a time where we're thinking, aren't we? We are just being as well. Most often than not, I'm not thinking about strategy when I'm in the bath. I'm actually just chilling out and just letting life, pass me by and just soaking in that rest. So yeah, this is all why it's interconnected to that. And again, these are so vast and broad, but you'll kind of connect to maybe one or two archetypes in here, and that's great, because again, too much of anything isn't a good thing. I don't think we can be too much of, again, for me, like I would identify in these archetypes as the huntress, and so ferocious, so fierce, so bold and brave and strong, that I almost didn't allow time for play and fun and freedom and all of those things. So I'm going to go through the 7 different archetypes, and I feel like this is going to be really interesting for a lot of people. And you might be able to identify with it, you might not, but yeah. So these are the archetypes we're going to go through. So the lover, the huntress, the maiden, the mother, the queen, the mystic, and the sage. So these are just a few, and this crosses like all generations, all cultures and ancestral lines. There's always some sort of deity or archetype that you would identify through that. And I wanted to share this with you to show you the power that you hold, because I think that when you can harness all of these powers, I say powers, all of these energies and archetypes in different ways, it just gives you that full sense of being. Understand that you have access to every part of this is just yeah, it just creates that fullness that I think we're all been searching for. So I'm going to start with a maiden, and I would say the maiden is probably a stage in our lives that maybe it's our teenage years, and that's where we are empathetic and we're creative and open-minded. So we have lots of energy, right? There's youthfulness in being the maiden. There's like that carefree feeling and curious, like you're curious at that time. You don't have like a set belief on what things are. You're kind of trying new things out. Now, don't get me wrong, I feel like when I was a teenager, I felt like I knew it all. And I'm sure some of us do, but you're willing to learn, you're willing to listen, you're willing to try. Well, some of us are. And also I've been in stages where I haven't been that too. So just, clarification on that. But generally that's the maiden energy. So I would say adolescent, you're curious and all of the things. And again, that curiosity and that open-mindedness and the creativity, that is something that we could all use for anything. If you're stuck right now as well, you're someone that's I have a lot of clients come to me saying they're stuck, I feel like they lost the spark. Tapping into this maiden energy gives us that freeness. That's like connecting back with our inner child, our inner teenager. That's that moment of what lit you up as a young person. Think about that, and that's where you start to build out on what your next level of maybe purpose looks like for you. And that's igniting that inner spark again, is connecting with our inner maiden. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Then we got the lover. So the lover is magnetic in nature and seductive. She knows what she wants and she can will it into existence. And she is the life force energy. So she is powerful and she admits confidence and oozes self-love and radiance. Now, I feel like the lover is almost the next stage of the maiden, but intertwining. It's almost like she's learned what she wants, but she's also open-minded in that, you know, like she's dating maybe and she's getting into that space, but equally the lover ignites the mother archetype, which we'll talk about in a moment. But it's that, you know, that anything she touches expands and grows, you know, it's she knows her beauty and her worth, and she calls it in, you know. I would even say like she's a master manifester to some extent, that she can just know that she's worthy and deserving and tap into that. Now, I know that that's not a state of being that everyone exists in, but we can tap into that times. I'm sure you look back on certain situations where, you know, maybe you've got a round of drinks for your friends on a night out or something. That's you tapping into that magnetic lover energy. And it's all of that, you know, it's almost like you understanding your worth in that space and feeling deserving. And these are real feminine traits that I talk about a lot, that deservingness. That's where the lover sits. She's like, I would say the empress slash high priestess. I'd say definitely empress, actually, energy in the tarot, you know, sort of the tarot characters. She definitely, like, she's that divine, and these are all divine feminine energies, by the way, but I would definitely say the lover has that, yeah, like princess energy for sure. And then we have the mother, who is nurturing, compassionate. She's responsible and loving, and she's trusted by everyone that enters her presence. And because she's a natural caregiver, that's what I said about the Cancer from astrology. That's a natural Cancer trait. I'm sure if you look at your friends that are like the mum of the group, you will see that they're like, a lot of people are Cancerian in nature, or it's like sort of one of their Venus might be in Cancer, for example, and that's the way they love, you know, like that's that nurture energy. And she has wisdom and experience, you know, like she's that person that has been the maiden. She's tried new things, she's done it, you know. Maybe she dated a lot and she knows her worth, she sat in that, and then now she's able to pour back in, you know. She pour back into everyone around her. She's compassionate, you know, she's a great person to listen to. And she knows, you know, she's that person that if you've got, you're crying or upset, she's got a tissue for you, she's going to hold you. She's that person, and the creator as well, you know, that the mother obviously creates life. And I think that also comes where the lover and the mother kind of intersect, you know, and all of these intersect, but that's that beautiful energy there. And then we kind of, I feel like we up level into the queen, but the queen we can meet at any stage of our life. So, you know, you could go from being the maiden to the queen, because, you know, that's when you understand, you know, yourself, life, people, you know, it's powerful, understanding and social. You know, the queen understands because she's been there, she's done it, she's for the people, by the people type of energy. She also understands her boundaries and she's loyal, you know, super loyal. I would say girl's girl for sure, you know, like definitely like just that, I would say a softer energy as well, you know, almost, you know, you think about the mother energy is like maybe compassionate and caring, that the queen is the leader in that, you know. She's like, okay, this is like where we go next, always for the best interest of people as well, you know. And she listens to the needs of others and implements ways to support them. So, you know, like if you're like, oh, I don't like going to that place, she's like, okay, well, how can we go? And I'm talking about friendship circles here, you know, not when you've got that one friend that's like, I want to go here, but I want to go here. She's like, okay, well, how about we go here instead? Because then you get this and you get that. She's like that person that can just help everyone, you know. She's for the people, by the people is probably the best way to explain it. And then we have the huntress. Now, this is where I identified the most with. I definitely spent a lot of time in here, and that's the protector of other women. She's super independent, courageous, and she's very goal driven. So she knows exactly what she wants. She knows how to get there. She might not actually ask for help very much. She might be tunnel focused on that goal. And she works hard, you know, she's not afraid to work hard. And I think that's definitely it. And she defends other women in every situation. And I know so many occasions where I've been in like nights out, my friends have been like, Sherisse, where's Sherisse? We need Sherisse to deal with the conflict. That was so me. And unfortunately, I wore it as a badge of honor. And I would say that the huntress probably has a bit more of a masculine energy trait. And I'd say that these next archetypes that I'm adding in are, well, I'd say the next one for sure is a bit more masculine energy. So I think it's yeah, this comes with everything, you know, we ebb and flow between these, but I would definitely say like the huntress is definitely has that masculine energy sort of to her, you know, more so than the others. And the sage as well, like the sage is strategic, wise, and practical. The sage is well thought out. She can see things from a higher perspective, and she's often enlisted for advice and guidance. So if you think back to like medieval times, the sage or the high priestess would be enlisted to, you know, help the pharaoh with like what the plan should be, you know, like it's those kinds of things that they know a lot, you know, and they have wisdom from lived experience. So I would say that that energy comes from when you've been around a bit longer, you know, as in like you wouldn't necessarily embark on your sage archetype trait in your like sort of early 20s. You know, this is something that grows as we get on further in our life. And I would definitely say that I probably sit in there a little bit more now. And I feel like I've had to obviously embark on my business and things like that. But more so from my lived experience has kind of taught me that. And I think doing my healing journey led me to that route. So that's like a nice way of thinking about it like that. And then the last one we have is the mystic. So she's naturally more introverted and definitely spiritual and creative, you know, and the mystic focuses on inner peace and that transcends outwardly. So instead of her, I guess, being outwardly curious, as in like trying new things, seeing new people, doing all those things, she's like focused on her inner world and like connecting to higher realms. I'd definitely say more spiritual energy, and she can detach herself from the outside world quite easily and is quite happy with that. And she also honors her inner knowing so much more. So she's so intuitive. She's listening to that intuition all the time. And I think a lot of the archetypes are intuitive, and that's our biggest trait and quality as a woman, is that we have such a heightened sense of intuition. Now men have it too. They don't listen to it as much as women do. And I think that also ties into the gut feeling, you know, like we feel it in every part of us women, that when something isn't right. And I think men do as well. But obviously, again, because I've never been a man, I can't give you that kind of clear definition for that if any guys listening. But I think for women there's definitely this sense of like, if I look back on my life and the times where I've made a choice that probably wasn't the best one, I felt off about it, something didn't feel right, you know. And equally now, like when I've done something that I've had an inkling that I should do, I feel like the rewards have been really high from it, just in like multiple different ways, not necessarily a goal, but you know, something. So I feel like, again, like I said, like from these archetypes, like, was there one that particularly stood out to you that you were like, yeah, that's me, you know? Was anything come up in there? You know, you had the lover, the huntress, the maiden, the mother, the queen, the mystic, the sage, you know, in those there, can you listen to that and be like, yeah, I definitely feel like that one was me? And equally, we should have a little bit of all of them in our lives, you know. And I feel like I've given them age kind of ranges, but it can ebb and flow for everything. You might have found that you became a mum young, and actually now you're living your maiden phase because you're just being free and trying new things, you know. I think that's the real beautiful thing about life, is that it just there's no rules. And I think that's a really hard thing that a lot of people struggle with, is that they feel like they should have done a certain thing at a certain time, and then we compare ourselves to other people and other people's journeys, which comparison is the thief of joy. I can't remember what philosopher said that, but yeah, it's there, you know. And it's difficult, I think, as well, you know. Again, I speak mainly from a female perspective because I've never been a woman, but I think in society it's always the women that are questioned, you know, in terms of like, oh, she's had a baby, should she be going to work, why is she not back at work, you know, these types of scenarios. Like, we're always judged as women. And I think that for me, all of my work is about giving you the tools to be able to harness all of your power, and like understanding that there's different versions of you that are going to shine at different points in your life. So if you are feeling, like I said, lost or stuck right now, maybe you do need to add that maiden energy into your life. Maybe you need to let go of, you know, the structure that maybe has been holding you back. Because again, structure is quite a masculine thing, you know, especially if it's super rigid in terms of like the 9 to 5 setting, for example, going to an office and like wearing office clothes. That in itself could be really limiting to a lot of people, because I believe that, you know, we should be able to dress how we want and express ourselves freely. I feel like clothes are a extension of our personalities, even with tattoos, and I know a lot of spiritual people don't believe in marking your body, but I think our bodies are canvas. So how we show up in the world and like how we dress and things like that, that's all a byproduct of how we feel. So if you are someone right now that feels a lack of confidence, like, can you add a bit more color into your wardrobe or something like that to just make you feel better about yourself? Because these are all the things, right? And the clothes are an external version of how you feel inwardly, but everything coexists together and intertwines and intersects. So that's a beautiful thing about this. And, even with, the divine feminine thing, that really is manifestation. Like the manifestation process is both divine masculine and divine feminine, because you are setting your sights on something. That's the masculine energy, is setting your sights on something you want. The feminine energy is feeling it, feeling that feeling of having that relationship, that new job feeling, that excitement to get out of bed in the morning. That's all that really beautiful feminine energy of like, how does it feel to have that thing? And then the masculine energy is taking the aligned action. And actually, that is a beautiful divine masculine energy, because it does tap into both, because it's like, okay, like how intuitively listening to my feminine do I need to be or act to receive that? So if it is the new job in a completely different field you've never done before, maybe your intuition is saying to you, maybe you need to do a little course on that. That your intuition told you to do the course, the masculine energy is doing the course, right? And that's where it all sort of works together in a beautiful space. But most importantly, the feminine energy there is being in the right energy of receiving, because often our manifestations will show up completely different to how we expect. So it could be that you want this new job, right? And you put out to the universe, I want this new job, and I'm really looking forward to feeling this way, this way, this way about this new job. Then a new job comes up and you're like, oh, I don't want that one. But actually, that was everything you asked for. But maybe because the office was a little bit further out than you wanted to travel, you were like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's like, how many times have you done that in your life? If you think back to like, oh, I've asked for this thing that actually wasn't right. Now, sometimes that is the case as well, by the way, that the universe will send you tests. It might send you tests to be like, do you just definitely want this? Or, is it the way you want? But a lot of the time, again, connecting to that energy within you, your gut energy, you might be like, oh, this is everything I want, but I'm scared. That's you holding yourself back. That feeling of being scared and it being different, that isn't the right, that's like, you denying yourself of the thing that you want. And this is why discernment and that self-awareness I always talk about comes in so key, because you need to discern them. Because if you ask the universe for something and it's showing you it with bells and whistles on, and you're being like, oh, I don't know, then that's you in your own way, right? So for me, tapping into these archetypes, these divine feminine archetypes, is all to just show you, what you're capable of, what's possible for you within that. And you might identify with it, you might not. There might be other versions of that and other deities that you know of that you're like, yeah, actually, I can see that in that. Like I would say like the sage, I'm sure it's Aphrodite. She was like I'm sure someone said she's the father daughter. That was like a Greek thing. She was known as, because she was so strategic. So Athena, that's it, not Aphrodite. Athena, because she was so logical. And I think Athena is associated with being a Virgo. And that's again the sage energy. So for me, it all just intersects and intertwines. I would say Athena is probably the lover, definitely. Not Athena, Aphrodite. They're all A's, guys. All right, let me live. But yeah, you get the idea of kind of what I'm saying there, that the deities do connect with that. I would say that Kali would be equivalent to a Scorpio. Yeah. And she probably is a bit more huntress energy, even the mystic. There's lots of different ways to see that there. And you don't need to identify it to be like, yep, that's definitely me. But what I'm saying is just a way of looking at your feminine energy in a different space. It's quite broad. There's lots of variations to it. There's lots of degrees. It's not just like a set finite thing. As we know, feminine energy is like a flowing state of being. There's lots of variations to it. And Yeah, it's like a color wheel. You pick one color and there's like shades of it. It's gradient. That's kind of what your feminine energy is like too. Different degrees and variations of it. Same with masculine energy, divine masculine energy, exactly the same. So I feel like it's a really beautiful way of us looking at that. But I'm saying all of this to say that, when we can harness that feeling of just generally tuning in, listening to our intuition and feeling that deserving feeling, everything else in turn just connects with you in such a beautiful way. And I just feel like you are so worthy and deserving of the things that you want, and I want you to have them. And I feel like, yeah, hopefully some of this inspires you to maybe take a bit of action. Maybe you're thinking, oh yeah, do you know what, I've been really trying to um get this thing, and I actually didn't realize that if I did it this way, that might help. So I'm just trying to open you up to new perspectives. And actually, I'm going to post this about this in a grid post, so you can have a look at the grid post on my social media and just see what one really does identify, like what ones you identify with, and just, yeah, to give you clarity and self-awareness. Again, it doesn't need to be for anything other than just self-evaluation, because when we know ourselves, that's where all our power lies, more than anything. So yeah, I hope that this kind of gives you a little bit of, yeah, more of a deeper understanding, as I said, of the power you hold. And also, I wanted to talk about this because at my event on the 23rd of May, now that's in Indulgence Cafe Maidstone, it's 10:30 to 1:30 p.m. You get a brunch included. I really want to talk about this divine feminine energy because, again, it's been a journey that I've gone through myself. But most importantly, I want you to be able to harness it because, again, that's where our power lies as women, when we can tap into the thing that's natural to us. And so many of us have denied ourselves of that natural energy because we've tried to fit into a patriarchal world. And, I am waving the biggest flag for that because that's been a whole journey in myself, not the inner child healing, trauma healing, then divine feminine energy healing has been like the last stage of this recently for me. And now I'm sitting in it and understanding it. I'm like, yeah, it just makes sense. And I feel like we all deserve to harness that beautiful energy and power because, as I said, so many of us have not existed in that space for so long. So yes, if you are in UK, please do come along. I mean, obviously, I welcome in international people too. You're more than welcome. Um, but yeah, I just feel like these things need to be said and we need to learn and understand them because we only know what we know. So if you've been repeating the same cycles in your life over and over again, maybe you've been attracting partners that are avoidant, or, maybe they're a little bit more feminine in nature. It's probably because you're a little bit more masculine in nature because, again, we're a mirror. The things in us attract things in other people. If it's people in your life that have maybe walked all over you, it's like, how can you harness, that inner huntress to be like, nah, or the queen energy, step into your power, own it. There's so many varying degrees of all of this stuff, but it's so important to know it, understand it, and be it, right? But it's all inside of you already. So you don't need to be anything other than what you are truly inside. We just need to shed some of the layers that are blocking your pathway. And again, like with coming to the event, I can answer any questions. I can actually sit with you and like we can actually go through some things that are, affecting you one-on-one as well. Like it's a great opportunity to ask those questions and, yeah, just be in my actual energy and, yeah, just feel and resonate on all the things. So I'd love to have you there if you want to be there. The link is in the show notes. And as always, if these things come up and you're like looking at, okay, how can I work on this or this or this or whatever, whatever it is, and you're not ready to actually be in the energy, of me or, someone, I do have the self-study available on my website, Permission to Shine. So that's a 6-week program. So you can do it in your own time. So you don't have to take 6 weeks. You can just do that whenever you want to. And then obviously have the journals and stuff. So there's lots of different ways for you to gain this insight, the self-awareness, build the self-confidence without even having to speak to me in person if you didn't want to. I mean, I hope you want to. But if you didn't, I wasn't that person. So I say all of this and I create all of this because I wasn't a person that was ready to speak to someone about my thoughts and feelings. So I get you. I've been you, right? And that's why these options are available. So I'm sending you so much love and light, and just telling you that you are worthy and you are deserving and you absolutely deserve to receive everything you want and more, in your manifestations and your joy and your happiness, your love and your light, and let your light shine out into the universe, the world and beyond. You deserve it. So I'm sending you love and light, and I will speak to you really, really soon.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.